Hi guys, my name is Gen Z Classic Lily. I'm a final year student of Computer Science Department. The topic I have chosen today for the seminar is demand. Let us get into the slides. So, what is demand? It is basically a customer's desire to purchase a good or service. In other terms, demand is actually backed up by money to purchase that good or services. So, there are three essentials of a demand, namely desire to buy the commodity, purchasing power, and the willingness to pay for that good. Okay, let us look into the features of the demand. The first feature is the desire. Desire is the driving force of the demand. So, the wavelength of the demand can be calculated by the amount of commodity for which the customer is willing to pay. The next is price. Everything has its price, so as demand. So, if a commodity has no price, then it has no value or no meaning. The third is the point of time. The amount demanded must be on some point of time. For example, the masks were in very high demand during the corona period. The last feature is the utility feature. It describes the amount of satisfaction a customer is getting from a particular product or service. So, determinants of demand. So, there are basically five determinants of demand. The first is price of goods of services. So, the law of demand states that keeping everything in constant, if the price of the commodity increases, the demand decreases, and if the price of the commodity decreases, the demand increases. The second is income of buyers. So, if the consumer has more income, he's going to buy more commodity, and if he has a very less income, he is going to buy very few number of commodity. Thus, they are influencing the demand graph. The third is the price of the related goods. So there are basically two types of goods. One is substituted goods. For example, the demand of the tea can be substituted by coffee. And second is the complementary goods. So complementary goods are nothing but the related goods. For example, car and petrol. So if the price of the car goes on, so if the price of the car keeps on decreasing, everyone buys cars. Therefore, the demand of the petrol increases. Or in the case, if the price of the petrol keeps on increases, after a while, nobody buys cars. Therefore, the demand of the car decreases. Hence, they are known as complementary goods. The fourth is the taste of consumers. So today, the taste is mostly influenced by online content creators, influencers, or new inventions like croc shoes. So the majority of the consumers, if they are having the same taste, obviously the demand for the commodity keeps on increases. And the last is the expectations. So if a customer expect there will be a decrease in price of the gold in the upcoming weeks, he is not going to invest in gold in this week. Therefore, the demand for the gold decreases this week. Or else, if the next is law of demand. The law of demand states that other things being constant, the demand for a good increases with a decrease in price and decreases with the increase in price. For example, if 1 kg of onion is sold for rupees 20, the customers are going to buy in huge amount. At the same time, if that 1 kg of onion is sold for rupees 200, customers going to buy either half kg or 250 grams. Therefore, the price of the commodity and the demand for the commodity are always inversely proportional to each other. Okay, there are some assumptions in the law of demand. For example, the demanded commodity is a normal commodity and the income of the consumers are being constant. Then the price of the related goods remain constant and the taste and preferences of the consumers are not changing over a period of time. Last is the customers do not expect any change in price of the commodity in the upcoming weeks. Apart from these, the government policies should also remain constant. So, if you ask me, are there any exceptions to the law of demand? Yes, there are some goods that are exception to the law of demand. The first is given goods. Given goods are some non-luxurious commodities. For example, rice. If the cost of the price increases, the demand increases. If the cost of the price decreases, the demand decreases. Second is Veblen goods. Veblen goods are kind of luxurious products. So here the price is directly proportional to the demand. These commodities satisfies the desires of the upper middle class people. And third is the conspicuous necessity. Conspicuous necessity are the commodities that are essential for this modern life. For example, the cost of the phone keeps on increasing, but still people are buying it because it has become a necessity in this modern life. Next is alternative ways of expressing a demand. There are three ways to express a demand, namely demand function, demand schedule, and demand curve. So let us deep dive into the concepts in the upcoming slides. Demand function, it is algebraically expressed as d of x is equal to function of p of x, y and t, where d of x is the demand of the commodity and it is a dependent variable, while p of x is the price of the commodity, y is the income of the consumer, and t is the taste and preferences of the consumer, and these three are independent variables. Therefore a demand of the commodity is dependent on these three independent variables. Demand schedule. So demand schedule is basically a table which shows how much quantity of the commodity is demanded at different levels of price. It has two columns, namely price per unit of the good and quantity demanded per period. There are two types of demand schedules, namely individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. A demand curve. So it is basically the graphical representation that depicts the relationship between price of the commodity and the quantity of the commodity that is demanded. As you can see, when the price of the commodity is high, the quantity demanded is low, and when the price is low, the quantity of the commodity that is demanded is high. So, today we learned what is demand, the laws of demand, the features of demand, and the determinants of demand. So, thank you guys for this wonderful opportunity and thank you for listening.